When I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, I thought that yoga was the last thing that my body needed. And it actually turned out to be the thing that changed everything for me. Welcome to this video. Hello, flowy friends. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Rachel. I'm a yoga instructor that lives with rheumatoid arthritis and has done for over 20 years. I wanted to share this video today, and I'm going to be sharing more videos like this in the future, but basically talking about how yoga has changed my condition. I thought it was important to share it because the stage that I'm at right now makes it look like I can do a lot of things, and I literally can, but there was a time when I couldn't do a fraction of what I can do now. So also I just want to let you know at the beginning of this video that this is my lived experience, and your experience with arthritis and movement might be completely different to mine, and that is perfectly okay. So let's get into it. So I've shared my story before about my diagnosis and kind of getting into yoga. I will leave a link to that video if you want to take a little look at that one, going in a little bit more depth about that. This video is going to be more about talking about how yoga actually changed my condition. So I was diagnosed over 20 years ago now, and I would say about a year into my diagnosis was when I started to do yoga. It was recommended to me, and really more for the mindfulness side of it, doing a little bit of breathing, trying to get a little bit of movement in, and I literally couldn't do any of the movement, to be fair. Maybe a couple of little stretches, but that was it. So it kind of started like that, and at that time I couldn't drive my car, I wasn't working, I struggled to get up the stairs. My partner had to help me get dressed kind of top half. I could pull stuff up, but I couldn't get anything over my arms. I couldn't really lift my arms too much. I had lots of pain and swelling in my hands, my fingers, my knees were awful. And one thing is, well, getting up off the toilet, that was probably one of the worst ones that would kind of make me go, kind of scream out, getting up off the toilet. So yeah, I discovered yoga and I started really small, started with small little things, finding little poses that worked for me, and yeah, just kind of took it from there. So one of the first shifts that I started to notice in my body was inflammation. Inflammation started to lessen when I was doing poses, and it was kind of when I started to do a few more poses. In the beginning, I was probably only doing like one or two every couple of days, and that was kind of enough. But then when I started to add in more, so say I was adding in like 5, 6 poses at any one time, it was, yeah, allowing my muscles to lengthen, and it was releasing some of that stiffness and some of that inflammation in my body. And that was a huge thing, because the inflammation, if you have got arthritis, you'll know that the inflammation is so debilitating, and you kind of never know when it's coming. You don't know if you're going to be sore this day or the next day, or you could wake up okay, and then by the end of the day, you know, inflammation is raging in the body. So that was one of the first things that I noticed. The second thing that I noticed was my mobility started to improve. Again, another huge one for me. Inflammation and not being mobile were the two things that were keeping me from driving my car and going to work. At the time, I was working as a carer for the elderly, and yeah, I just wasn't able to help people get out of chairs. I wasn't, you know, it was fairly physical in some senses, so I wasn't able to kind of do that. So yeah, I was off work. So mobility, yeah, I just started to just notice that I was able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. And that was kind of then when I had this kind of realization, this little light bulb moment that, hey, I think I could be onto something here with this yoga. And I did kind of consult with my doctor as well, my rheumatologist at the hospital, who said, keep doing what you're doing because it's clearly having an impact. So I did, I continued. And the mobility was like really simple things. Like I said, I had to have help getting dressed, you know, stuff over my upper body. Just the reaching up of my arm taking myself into a little bit of a side stretch. Really, really simple things, but things that you just take for granted when you're just living a normal, mobile life. So it was just sort of things like that. You suddenly start to go, okay, there's definitely something in this. So a little bit further down the line, when I was doing probably 15, 20-minute practices, all kind of made up of my own device, just putting little poses and stretches together that I felt worked for me. This is when I started to see a shift in my chronic pain. So when you have rheumatoid arthritis, the pain just comes along with the inflammation, and I experience pain every single day. So even though that my inflammation had lessened, the pain didn't really go away. However, for me, I've got quite a high pain threshold, and the pain wasn't really the biggest factor for me. It was always the inflammation, and it was always not being mobile. That was the biggest issue for me. So yeah, then I started to notice this decline in my pain. I was taking less painkillers. I went from probably taking painkillers every single day, anti-inflammatories, and just normal kind of painkillers alongside each other to lessen pain, to hardly taking anything, or maybe once or twice a week. And now I'm actually at a point where I don't take painkillers at all. I don't take painkillers for my arthritis. I might take painkillers if I get a migraine, because I sometimes get migraines, sometimes get a headache. I will take a painkiller for that. But as it stands, I do not take any painkillers for my rheumatoid arthritis at all. That could change, but as it stands right now, I'm not doing that at all. So what I feel is that yoga kind of broke this loop, because you experience pain and then you stress about pain, and then the pain kind of brings on your inflammation. It makes the inflammation in your body worse. So yoga broke that loop. It broke that loop. It made me it made me feel less anxious about my condition, about my pain, about the inflammation, and just everything just all started to just kind of lessen and quieten down in my body. It was like I could breathe again. And so really, I went from catastrophizing my future to being really hopeful. I started to feel really hopeful and then determined that I wasn't going to let this beat me, and that I was going to push through, and I was just going to keep doing what I was doing. And kind of made that little promise to myself. So here's what I want to be really clear about. None of this stuff happened to me overnight. It took a long time. I've lived with rheumatoid arthritis for over 20 years, and I've been practicing yoga on and off in the beginning over those years. And it's like anything. I started and I would get a knockback, and I would go, just not be doing it. I'd get all low again. And then like you do, you go through these phases, these cycles in your life, and then you kind of pick yourself up and you get back into it. And it was after a few of those times, a few of those little dips, that I just knew that whenever I did yoga, it made me feel better. It made me feel better in my body. It opened up my life a little bit more. I was able to do more things. At some point, I just had to think, I have got to keep going with this and just accept where I am at each point. So I would make a little bit of progress, but then you'd kind of hit a wall. I would hit this wall, and I wouldn't be able to take it any further with my body, even though I wanted to. The aim was always to try and, up the level of mobility, up the level of how I feel. And you would always hit a wall. I would always hit a wall. But eventually, stay with it. Just, accept where your body is, where your body is, where your body is. Eventually, I was just pushing through, just a little bit at a time. So yeah, it's really important that you know that this didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual process. I also want to be honest here and let you know that I am on medication for arthritis. I take 2 forms of medication for arthritis. So I take methotrexate, which I take once a week, and then I take hydroxychloroquine, which I take 1 every day. So actually the hydroxychloroquine was added in about 6-7 years ago, so I wasn't always on that. But what I will say is that the medication that I'm on is really, really effective for me. It really has allowed me to live a better life as well. And what yoga's done is built upon that base. So the medication got me to a certain point, and then the yoga has taken me beyond whatever I thought I would be able to do. And that's the key thing. So I'm not telling anybody here to not take medication and to not seek advice from your doctor. 100% listen to the experts. But they do always say, doctors always tell you to do a little bit of movement. And you do always see this thing that says, you know, yoga can be helpful for arthritis. But then you see social media and you see all these people that are absolutely amazing at yoga. And then you think, well, how on earth can I do that? And we have to look at it a little bit differently. We have to look at, you know, how we can make it work for us, not us try and do all those things, but how can this practice help me? And that's exactly what I've done. So yeah, it's kind of the perfect kind of like recipe. Movement plus my medicine makes Rachel work perfectly well. Yeah. So I'm also not going to sit here and say that yoga has cured my rheumatoid arthritis. It has not. I still have flare-up days, however they are few and far between. I still have flare-up days. I still have days where my knees hurt. I have one particular thumb that swells up and gets really sore and painful. So I do have these things, and chronic fatigue as well is another thing that does hit me quite a lot. But I also put that down to, I'm a yoga instructor. I am teaching classes throughout the week. And obviously that fatigue is going to hit me. And the beautiful thing is that yoga isn't something that I have to do. It's something that I want to do because it makes me feel better. If I even take like a couple of days off, where obviously teaching it, you know, you sometimes get to a point where you go, oh, I just don't want to think about yoga at all. Don't want to think about classes. I don't want to think about anything. I'll take 1 full day off, and that's probably enough for me. If I take 2-3 days off, I then start to feel it in my body straight away. I feel it. My body knows that I'm not doing it, and yeah, things start to change like dramatically. So yeah, I suppose in a way, yeah, I've kind of contradicted myself there, but yeah, I do have to do it, but I want to do it because I enjoy how it makes me feel and how long it's kept me feeling good for. And I think that's really important. So I have got a free guide on starting yoga safely if you have arthritis, and I will leave a link to that in the description. I might even pin it as a comment as well. But yeah, download that, and it gives you just all the kind of tips and tricks that I wish that I knew, you know, when I kind of first started out. I kind of didn't have anybody to guide me. I had to kind of navigate it all myself. So yeah, this is just kind of what I would do if I was in your situation and wanted to get started. Like I said, we'll leave a link in the description. I think it's important as well to know that, you know, you're not alone, that there are people in the world with the same condition with you or a similar condition to you, and that there is hope. There is little things that you can do to really kind of change your condition for the better. Take control. That's what it's about. It's about you taking control of your condition and not letting it take control over you. So if you are dealing with arthritis or similar musculoskeletal problems, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel, the Yoga Flowly channel, because I upload chair yoga, joint friendly yoga, and like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos like this, kind of talking about arthritis, my experience, kind of what I do, yeah, to just kind of get through and deal with the condition. So if this video resonated with you, then please give me a little like, be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment as well. What is your biggest challenge with your arthritis? I'd love to hear like your story as well. I think it's good to share like your story, our stories with each other. So yeah, would love to hear. I will reply to every comment. So thank you so much for watching. I probably waffled on about a load of rubbish, but I hope it's made sense to you and you've got something out of it. Let me know if you have, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.